The lesson plan template that was provided by Alliance University was different than any other lesson plan template that I had seen in that it was far more comprehensive and detailed, and it focused a lot more on the theories that go into planning the lessons. So other lesson plan templates I'd seen will, have you lay out what you're going to do in the lesson, what materials you're going to use, methods of individual practice, as well as assessment. But this one was more detailed in the fact that it actually has you spell out the particular educational theory that you want to implement in your lesson. It has the teacher think more about just on a deeper level about what they are trying to accomplish in this lesson and what different methods that we are trying to use. Another way that this lesson plan template was different is that it provided a section that actually differentiates the lesson and how you are going to make the lesson different, how as the educator you're going to make the lesson different for different types of learners. So whether it is a student who has learning disabilities or physical disabilities, a student who is an English language learner, someone who is more advanced than perhaps the rest of the class, as well as at-risk students. And I really found that interesting that there was a section that has the teacher specifically spell out and recognize how we would alter the lesson, how we would make adjustments and make accommodations and include accommodations for students who are dealing with some of those different challenges. In the current class that I am teaching right now, I have about 5 students who are on IEPs, and each of them has specific accommodations that they have. And so I really liked the fact that on this lesson plan template, it allowed me to spell out very specifically what accommodations I would make to that particular lesson for those individual students. I also noticed the area for teacher reflection. So that was another thing that I had not seen in different templates before. The area where you were allowed as a teacher to make a reflection on your lesson plan prior to teaching it, and then also to make a reflection on it after teaching the lesson plan. That was really interesting to me because that's something that as teachers, I think, teach year after year, particularly if you are in the same grade level, you are going to want to make those reflections. What worked and what didn't work, so that the next time that you do it, the following year or the following week, if you're going to do something similar again, you can reflect pretty intentionally about what you accomplished, what you liked, what worked, as well as what didn't work. For me personally, I think that the biggest challenge that I'm going to have in filling out this lesson plan is actually in those differentiations. I was not a learner. As I myself was a student, I did not have the learning disabilities. I was not an English language learner, and I was not at risk. So I think that the challenge that I will have would be to actually understand how to differentiate my lesson plans for those students. That is where I definitely have room to grow and to learn and what I hope to learn, and that is where I hope to work with our SPED teacher here to be able to gain more knowledge and information on how I can differentiate those lesson plans. Another challenge that I think I would have would be to come up with different ways of assessment. I am a firm believer that if a student is not particularly strong, for instance, in standardized test taking or multiple choice tests, that we provide alternate methods of assessment. And so I think that that is an area that I would like to grow, is to figure out some different methods of assessment. And the third area, I wouldn't necessarily call it a challenge, but something that I do want to grow in and learn more would be the classroom management, particularly for these upper grades. I like that it's built right into the lesson plan, that if there are classroom management challenges that a teacher faces, they can incorporate that into their lesson plan so that they can be prepared for it and anticipate some of the different classroom management challenges that might arise during a particular lesson. So those were the areas that I found interesting, that were different from different lesson plans that I had seen, and those were the areas that I think that I would have the greatest challenges and the greatest room to grow.